Lauren. This question comes from Amber Katz at Beauty Blogging Junkie. How do you achieve such a perfect cat eye every time?
I work with Amy. Every time we do my makeup, that's kind of like the part where we take a break, and I normally end up doing it sitting in my bathroom sink, right up to the mirror. I think that the only thing you do is just practice it. Everyone has a different eye shape, and you're going to mess up a lot of the time, but I use Mark's On the Edge liquid liner in Painted Black. It's the new one they came out with, and it's a waterproof, so it doesn't smudge off, because the whole point of a cat eye is the dramatic effect. So, yeah, I think you just practice that one, and you mess up a lot, because I've left the house wonky eyes a lot.
All right, this question comes from Polly Blitzer at Beauty Blitz. What are your favorite beauty products?
My favorite ones are, I think I tend to focus on eyes, because I think that those are fun when you're doing makeup. So I normally have a liquid liner, which is the On the Edge, and on days like today when I'm traveling and going straight here from a plane, it's nice to have the little hookups because they're easy and you throw them into the bag. So I usually do that with a Scandalash mascara, and then I always have one of the, actually it's my favorite gloss we did was the Empowerment Gold, which is the one that I teamed up with Amy Nadine with, because you can wear it bare or you can layer it over. I'll do it over red lips or any color that I do. So that's another one of my favorites. And on days like today, I like the Light Bright Lighten and Depuff Eye Gel.
Okay, that's
that's the one that has a long name. It's good for if you're flying, use the eye puffs.
Yeah.
So those are a few of my favorites.
Okay, this question comes from Dina Fierro at Eye for Style. What message about style and beauty do you hope to share with young women today?
I think that the main message when you're dealing with style and beauty is to play up your positives, whether you're, dressing to accentuate your favorite feature or body part, or when you're doing your makeup, you want to play up your positives. You want to accentuate your lovely features. So I'd say probably less is more. I think that I had a lot of weird phases where I tried like the different colored eyeshadows, and it was more of like a dress up, and makeup was more of a mask when it's meant just to make you a lovelier version of yourself.
Absolutely. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and change to a couple of empowerment questions. This question comes from Karen Apablaza at examiner.com. Laws seem to be pretty lax when it comes to obsessive, jealous boyfriends and their behavior toward a girlfriend or an ex-girlfriend. Do we know if there have been any major breakthroughs to this change, and any lawmakers trying to make a change?
That is a very good question, which I will turn over to Kirsten because I think she will better answer that.
Well, thank you, Lauren. I do want to point out that in New York City, there was actually a change to the law in 2008 that made it possible for someone in an intimate relationship to access an order of protection by going straight to family court. That was a change without having to make an arrest. So in the past, it was a little bit more challenging, especially for young people who might not have been living together or related by blood or married or having a child in common. So it's actually been a great breakthrough and has really opened the doors for a lot of young people to access an order of protection in particular. I also want to encourage everyone to go out and do some research on your own. Find out what your home state, if you're not from New York, what is on the books. And if your state legislature is doing anything about it, because it is a hot topic. I hear more and more about dating violence practically every day in the news, and I think that that especially in the last couple of years with people like Avon and Mark really taking on this issue with strong arms, that we have heard a lot more about it. So I think that I encourage everyone to take a moment and Google your state legislature to find out what's going on. But I also want to point out that jealousy is a really very serious thing, especially when it's somebody who's overly jealous or very obsessive. it's actually a warning sign of someone who might be an abusive partner. And to take that very seriously. So if something in your gut is saying, you know, this doesn't feel right, my partner is really tracking me down too much, he's calling me too often, or they're really, you know, getting under my skin and this doesn't feel right, then that's something to pay attention to and something to act on. And in terms of ex-boyfriends or ex-partners, it's really important to remember that stalking is against the law and that there are things that you can do to really help stay safe, and that it's important to really consider every single step of your day as you know, a potential place for abuse to happen. And so we want young people and you know, people of all ages just to really stay safe, and so take it seriously.
Thank you. That was a great answer. This question comes from Kelly Asiardo at 17.com. We hear so many stories about young girls assuming it's their fault or bashing other girls, saying they probably did something to deserve what they got. What would your advice be to teens who blame themselves or other girls that are in abusive relationships? What would you say to them to convince them otherwise?
I think that everyone's experienced this at one point or another, and it's a little bit upsetting to me just because I've kind of always been team girl, but I think that everyone's heard that, you know, oh, well, she deserves it, she's this, she's that. But I don't think that abuse in any form is ever deserved. And so I think that the main point to be made is that it's not okay and it's not normal. And I think that every young woman has that voice inside her head that says, this doesn't feel right, this isn't okay. And to listen to that and to have the confidence to speak out and express yourself.
Absolutely.
Also, I'm just going to forgive me for looking it down in my notes. I don't want to mess it up, though. We had another grant recipient, which was Love is Respect, and it created a great application called Love Mashup that makes talking about this with your friends easier. And we just received a Marcom Communications Award with Love is Respect for this program, and we are thrilled.
We are. We're very excited to be able to get out there in front of it, no matter what the form,
Yeah.
face-to-face, online, but just really providing a safe haven to get the word out there.
And I think you're right, Lauren. No one ever deserves to be abused, no matter what is going on in a relationship, especially physical abuse. That it's never okay. And, you know, there are actually a lot of reasons why someone might be staying in an abusive relationship. It could actually be that they're afraid of their partner because their partner has made threats to their physical safety, or they're afraid of whether they might not have a place to stay. They don't know what might happen to their kids, or possibly, you know, threats especially among teenagers, for example, of posting your pictures online, you know, or I'm going to send that picture to everybody in the school, or something to that effect, and that can really influence somebody's decision to stay or go. And we want to encourage someone who might be in that situation to always consider how are you going to leave that relationship, but how are you going to do it safely? Leaving an abusive relationship can be really very dangerous, and that there are certain steps that you can take to make sure that it goes well and that it does not end up in any physical harm to the victim. And we want people to make what's called a safety plan. And in order to do that, we recommend that someone work with a domestic violence advocate. And those advocates can be reached through lots of helplines. There's a hotline that was actually on the screen at the beginning, and we'll show it again later, the National Teen Dating Violence Helpline. It's just really important to remember that there are many, many factors. And if you happen to know someone who's in an abusive relationship, an important thing to do is to support them, to let them know that they're a wonderful, fabulous person, and that there's more to life than this really awful, horrible relationship that they're in. Not necessarily to blame them or tell them it's their fault, but to really lift them up and help them become more powerful in their own selves and have the strength to really get out of that relationship.
Thank you. This question comes from Pamela Peckerman at Bag Trends. Physical abuse is obvious, but emotional abuse is harder to read. What would you say to young women who think she's being a victim of emotional abuse in her relationship?
I think that emotional abuse is harder to define. I think it doesn't leave a mark, and it happens gradually. So I think that the most important thing is, again, just to know when something doesn't feel right, and know that you aren't being dramatic by speaking out. I think a lot of girls think, oh, well, this happens sometimes. I don't want to make a big deal out of it. But if you're not being treated right, then that's never okay. So I think that it's important that you have the courage to stand up and say that I deserve more, and get help that way. Which is why I'm here, people like yourself.
Thank you, Lauren. And it's important to remember that abuse does come in many forms, just like it's highlighted in the PSA. It can be emotional, can be verbal, financial, physical, and that all of those forms can be very detrimental to a victim. As you mentioned, it's easy to know if someone punches you, but it's not always easy to know if someone's emotionally abusing you. And that abuse can be packaged really very nicely and can be perceived as love. Oh, honey, why don't you hang out with me tonight? You don't need to go out with your friends. You don't need to hang out with anybody else. I'll take care of you. And that might sound really sweet. However, it could be just a way of trying to control their partner. And so just to look out for those things. It's not always easy to know. But if something does go wrong in your relationship, it's really important to say something about it, to do something. Communicate to your partner clearly that it's not okay, that you feel uncomfortable when somebody says or does something that you don't like. And knowing that if something is happening, that there's always help available, that in your own community, in your own city, that there are people out there, that you're not alone. Find some of those friends who can listen and can be supportive, maybe those family members who will help lift you up so that you can leave that abusive relationship. The National Teen Dating Abuse Hotline is 1-866-331-9474. And they have a website, actually, loveisrespect.org, and there's a chat room available from 4 p.m. till midnight for young people that is operated by other young people. So similar to our program where it's a peer education program, it might be that someone's more comfortable talking to somebody of their own age. That way they can chat. Just make sure that if you are chatting online that it is safe, because abusers could track your activity online, just to make sure that that's going to be safe for you. And just to know you're not alone. So, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, on a little bit lighter note, some fun questions for Lauren, which I'm sure you've heard many times. This first question comes from Laura at Pretty Connected. How has life changed for you since leaving reality TV?
It's been good. It's the show provided me with a platform that I'm now able to use to do other things that I really enjoy. So I, of course, have the opportunity to work with Mark as both the face of their brand and working with them on empowerment, which has been really great. And I've teamed up with Kohl's department store and done a line with them. And I have my second novel coming out today, so I've been working on books. So it's good. I've been keeping busy and doing lots of fun stuff.
Okay, this question comes from Lindsay Schickner at AOL Stylist. How have your personal beauty and hairstyles and the products that you use and live by evolved from your teenage years on Laguna Beach, in the hills, and again to the present?
I think it's a little bit less is more. Now I used to put a lot of bleach in my hair and a lot of weird colors on my face. So I think that it's actually one of the perks of working with Mark and working with Amy Nadine is that I get a personal makeup lesson every week or two. So that's always really fun. You get to kind of keep up with the trends in beauty and try new things. So.
Lots of things to play with.
Yes. So I think it's a progression. I think everyone goes through that learning how to do hair and makeup phase. It's not always pretty. So I'd like to say it's improved a little.
Well, the great thing about digital pictures is you can erase them. I grew up in a time where it was pretty much recorded for posterity, so it's not such a bad thing.
Okay, yeah, it's true.
Okay, this last question comes from Pamela Peckerman at Bag Trends. What is your go-to travel essentials?
I think I even listed them all in my favorites. I was on like travel mode in my head of what I had with me. I think it's a lot of the hookups because they're really easy, and especially I'm just about to start my tour, so it's like, you know, we have several stops throughout the day, so you need touch-ups, so those are always helpful. And if I'm packing clothes, I usually just try and do, you know, a good basic outfit that goes with anything, skinnies, blazer, heels. I think it really depends where I'm going, though. I think if I'm going somewhere tropical, it's very different coming here because it's cold.
Thank you very much for your answers.
And that's it? Those are all the questions? So we got all your beauty tips. We got what you like to wear. We got that you're a makeup expert, a fashion diva. And that you are very cognizant of things that are very important in life and offering help and support there. So I think that was pretty good. I think we hit them all. Did we hit them all? I think we did. I think we got all the big nuggets. So I want to thank you guys, all of you, very, very much. And you can see why my job is so great, because can you imagine being surrounded by this all the time? Tons of great energy and certainly a lot of great fun. But moreover, thanks again for coming out for this particular cause, because as we said, it is near and dear, and it is the first time for us to really get out there in a way that's significant. So we hope that you will join us, spread the word, and I am going to ask you just for one small indulgence, because we are so proud of this. And would you guys mind just singing it one more time? I mean, just one more time, okay? Indulge me. Here we go. It's all about you guys.
I'm Lauren Conrad, the spokesperson for Empowerment by Mark. I'm here today with peer educators from the New York City Healthy Relationship Training Academy. Thanks to the Empowerment by Mark campaign, we've raised over $400,000 to help them break the cycle of dating abuse and partner violence. In a perfect world, their services wouldn't be needed. Unfortunately, we do need them, a lot.
Studies show that 1 in 4 women will be abused by their partner in their lifetime. Abuse is not just physical, it can be verbal, emotional, or financial abuse. No one deserves to be abused. You have the right to a healthy relationship. Abuse is not your fault. The only way to stop an abusive relationship is to end it. If you're in an abusive relationship, there is always a way out. Help is available.
With the Mark Empowerment Bracelet or the necklace, you can raise awareness and help make a difference. 100% of the net proceeds raised from its sales go directly to help break the cycle of dating abuse and partner violence. Empower yourself and make a difference. To learn more, visit meetmark.com today.
And again, if you are interested in picking it up, it's explore.meetmark.com/videos. And Kim, where's my head of PR here? Kim, do we have bracelets for everyone?
Yes, of course.
Oh, good. Because what I was going to say is that, you know, we're all wearing ours in solidarity, and I hope that you will do the same. But it wouldn't be a Mark event if we didn't hook you up with some great beauty and fashion items, right? I mean, how boring would that be? So make sure on your way out that you stop and pick up your little swag bags, and do know how much we so appreciate all of you journalists coming out and really partnering with us. It means so very much to us. So thanks so much. We appreciate it.